up on the agenda.
Okay,
See if we could add possibly some new committee members to the safety committee and the long range planning committee, please.
okay, all in favor?
On the amended agenda?
Okay, that's unanimous. Our next thing is property owner comments, and I see we have Joe here.
Yep, hello, Joe.
Did I miss announcements?
It's fine, just switch.
Okay.
Your announcement.
Okay,
What John
yes, because I had announcements too, sorry about that.
That's all.
Yeah, I do too, I got three. So Joe,
Ready to go?
Yep.
You won't need that, I'll be quick. You know, I've been concerned about having enough water for firefighting and understand the need to get rid of the 1 million gallon tank. Then the concern became, if they're gonna have an automatic shut off for the 2 new tanks that are up there, how do we get water for firefighting? Went to another board meeting. Somebody came up with, I think, an elegant, simple solution, they usually are. New Division 7 reservoirs seismic valving. Your concern is valid regarding ensuring that there is water available in the immediate aftermath of a seismic event for firefighting. To address this concern, only one of the 2 new reservoirs will be outfitted with a shake alert activated valve that automatically closes in the event of an earthquake. Thus allowing the water held in the other reservoir to remain available for immediate needs, including firefighting. This configuration is consistent with District 2 Division 22 reservoirs also in Sudden Valley, one of which will remain available for firefighting, allowing a seismic event, and the second will automatically be isolated via the shake alert system to preserve water for the community's use during event recovery. So we get to use one immediately, save the other one. They only have to buy 1 shake alert for each combination. We all then hit hip hooray, maybe send them a thank you note or something like that.
Okay.
And that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Good to see you. Always a pleasure. Party.
Spencer, is there anyone online?
Rob's here, but there's no attendees, so.
Okay. Okay, so back to where I should have been, to announcements, does anyone have announcements?
Want to remind everyone about our Firewise workshop coming up May 12th. We'll have a couple presenters. We're going to try to expand the amount of Q&A so people can get their questions answered, and hopefully have a couple of residents who've done some of the Firewise implementation, and I'm hoping for some before and after questions or photos, I should say, on that. Also, and kind of associated with that is the Firewise limb pickup. You know, we gather up these downed limbs, the ones that have the weather has knocked down, to try to eliminate or reduce the amount of fuel that can feed a fire. So those will be in the views announcement this next month in April. They'll start April 21st and they go kind of by region, you know. So you just have to pay attention which region you're in and what week that those limbs will be picked up by our maintenance crew. And then there is a very energized Brian Burke who's wanting to reduce or hopefully eliminate the majority of the water lilies on Lake Louise. And he will be holding some organizational meetings in April 23rd at 7 p.m. and April 26th at 2 p.m. To try and offer an evening and a weekend date. So he'll talk about kind of the whys and the hows, and he's hoping to have some work sessions start Sunday afternoons, 4 o'clock in May.
In May, so they got to get right on it.
Yeah.
So that's also going to be in the views, and I believe in the
Yes.
blast as well, Michael?
That's correct. Yep, Bill has the copy, and we've been working with Rick to make sure that we have the communications on all 3 of these.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, and that Firewise is going to be
We
great.
fine tuned the last dates.
Right.
Just before that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
And I know Daniel and Lori have an announcement on USPR.
Yeah, we met last week sometime just to sort of get acquainted and talk about how we want to approach this. And we have at this point, I think we have 5 names of people who expressed some interest. We just got another one today. One dropped out and we got another one today. We're still looking for more, so we're gonna put a ad in the views asking for a call for volunteers. But I think the total number we were looking for is 6. We're looking for some with different viewpoints so we can be educated and make some educated decisions on short-term rental policy.
Yes, I think, I don't think I have an email list this one, and we fill out their email list, but I know we would want. Pardon? Yeah,
All right, and here, all right,
can we put the STR, passed on the email list as long as that's possible, or are we filling it up too much?
Sure, of course. What wording do you want it to just call for volunteers?
Essentially, yeah.
I think the email list is kind of effective. Yeah, and then I have 2 more announcements. Just want to remind everybody that tomorrow night, CTK is putting on a movie night. They're hoping you can join the popcorn and water games and prizes. It's open at 6 p.m. and the will start at 6:30. And that's always a really popular community event, well attended. So bring the kids down. People bring blankets and pillows, and the kids watch on the floor. So that's kind of something to look forward to. And then also just a reminder that we're having our senior.
Hi, is it my turn? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Because he has no audio, is he able to hear?
I can hear it now.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, for a while the admin was muted. Are you still under announcements? I did have an announcement if we're still there.
Announcements.
Otherwise, I can bring it up during committee reports.
Okay.
Oh, I just wanted to say that there is an opening on the Nominations and Elections Committee. And if anybody in the community is interested in joining our committee, please volunteer by going to the Sun Valley website, and you can use the volunteer link, and in the drop-down choose Nominations and Elections Committee. And we would love to have someone else join us. We're particularly looking for another member who feels like they have some strong skills in writing and communication. And that's our announcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to approval of minutes. Okay,
I'd like to make a motion, please, for the board to approve the draft board meeting minutes from 2/27/2025 as provided in the packet, or if you have any corrections. Otherwise, I'd like them approved, please.
Second,
There was one little edit.
What you need, where, what, when.
Okay, on 8D. This is the
Okay,
grammar. Under the motion, it says board of workers.
under what, 8?
8D, approval of option 1 and authorize the general. On behalf of the,
Board of is.
for the board of directors.
This.
It's here, it's over here, this last one.
Oh, okay,
So,
directors, all right. I just need, I can make that edit before I
Okay.
submit it.
so I can make the motion to approve the minutes as per the recommended change.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, 5A, GM report, Michael?
Thank you, Madam President. Certainly didn't care, yeah. We're here and out, for those of you that have been in the Midwest for a while, last night, it was, quite a fireworks show.
It's crazy.
Oh, wait, okay, I unplugged all my computers. So pretty good in. But, as you can see, capital projects are progressing steadily. The last, agenda, of course, the Finance Committee and Board approved, quite a few of them. And then tonight we do have, several significant ones to, consider. Tyler and Andrews will be here in a little while to be able to answer questions concerning the agenda item we have on the 2025 bridge work and culverts. Mike Brock was gonna be here tonight. This is 32nd anniversary. So he and his wife are out enjoying the night tonight. Yeah. So we certainly appreciate the community's engagement in helping staff these important committees that we have coming up, particularly safety, down long range planning and of course N&E and so the criminal task force. A lot of volunteers. I know that all of the board members put in so much time and I am so appreciative of it. So thank you to everybody. And if Keith is listening from Greece, we want to.
I hope he's not. I hope he's enjoying himself.
So, for the community's benefit and the boards, of course, the general manager report and all the departmental reports are on the website. You can review them, and unless the board has any particular questions, I would ask that you stipulate to the report rather than having to read it line by line.
So I just have a couple of questions on capital projects, the clubhouse, HVAC design and permitting. We already submitted that, right?
That's correct.
I thought that was already approved. We're just waiting for HVAC to be installed, or I thought it was installed actually in the clubhouse.
Well, no, it has not
Okay.
been installed yet. I believe what you're waiting on is the final bids. For the bids on the unit.
I don't think we've got the permit back yet.
Yeah, the permit is, very
that-
close, it's pending.
It's close, it's out, it didn't think,
Yeah, in fact, Tyler can probably comment on that as soon as he walks in.
okay.
But yeah, that's my understanding, right?
And then the one right below that, the bridge design and permitting. The capital project that we're considering tonight, those designs and permits have already been.
You last year spent approximately what, 131,000, yes, for, and those plans and applications are in the board packet here. So Tyler can comment on the status of the actual approval, but that the board had already committed and obligated those funds.
Right.
Right.
Any comments or questions?
So the Kirk building. That capital. renovation is planned for this year.
That's correct. There's a series of line items that will contribute into that project. Yeah.
And so normally we do permitting the year before. We've already done that or not?
Well, no, there have been no plans
Okay.
made yet. So if the board what we'll have Ray and Mike do here shortly, and Tyler is, we're going to get the board to obligate those funds. Because there's about 10 different line items that feed into that: roofing, interior siding, the restrooms.
Okay. And then the project on hold, the Barnade siding, actually the resolution that the board adopted on February 13th had to do with both barn 6 and barn 8. Not just the Barnade siding, right? That's what we're working on.
Yes.
Coming up with proposals for both. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we're looking at both plans, not just the.
Okay, good. Yep.
Right?
Michael, it looks like you got all the mortgage spots for the marina rented. That's all full and wait list is active.
I just happen to have time.
How are you on the marina? We've got everything, all the spots paid up.
Slip runoffs, tackle.
Slip rentals for wet slips, I believe I have 5 left that I'm filling, they're all on the inside standard ones. Dry slip wise, we have a fair bit of vacancies in them, and then everybody on the wait list has now been contacted, so effectively the wait list for dry slips is done.
Okay.
So we have open dry slips for anyone in the community not on the wait list.
So they're in the wait list for the wet slips?
Correct, that's currently sitting, I believe I have about 83 people left on that wait list right now.
Well,
Now, some of those are because they can't fit in the standard slip.
That is correct. Yeah, a fair bit of the people we've run into so far are still sitting on the wait list because they cannot, they're both too big of a dimension to fit on the inside of the marina, what slips.
okay, and then back to the small boats, like the kayak places that we ran out for those, are we in need of more? Are we got a wait list for that too?
We do have a wait list, and the materials were just purchased, I believe, for us to be building, I think 3 more this year.
3 more.
Kayak racks, yes.
Racks, so racks, a rack, it's got 12 more spots, or what's the
6 more spots.
6 more spots, so 3 companies, 18 more spots.
Yeah.
And how long is the wait list?
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, I want to say it's in the 50s, I believe. So I want to say it's between 50 and 60 people on that wait list.
Okay. So all these people who live by the lake and they got boats, we got a beautiful lake out there again. We still need some more besides another 18 to accommodate. These are just residents of Sutton Valley, correct? So I don't know when it needs to happen or what the cost is for those to build more. But it sounds, if we got a wait list of 60, sounds like we need some more. I do hear some rumbling around and like, yeah, I'm never gonna get to put my kayak by the water.
Well, we don't build racks, we like to input from certainly Kyle and from the long range planning committee on where to put the racks.
By the water.
Yeah.
You know, there's something. It's all over.
No, it sounds like we get 60 people on
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're only making 18 more, 18 spots.
How many is in one?
Racks.
Six.
Six?
Only 6, that was my point, you got it.
But sometimes is it gonna be like the other wait lists where some people put their name on, we don't actually want one, like I think maybe once we, and Cal, you can correct me, but maybe once we fill the 18, if we don't go through and we still have, another 18 people that want it, it's a possibility to build more.
Yeah, I would say kind of a running thing for every wait list we have, I would say for every 4 people we have on a list, maybe 1 person will take a spot regardless of what it is. So
We have to be careful not to build 8 spots, but we only need 20.
exactly.
Kyle, I have a question about the wet slip list.
Yep.
Of those that are still on the wait list, do they currently have a dry slip? And if not, are they being offered a dry slip? Like if they're storing their boat in their driveway or someplace else, and they're not on the dry slip, only the wet slip wait list, are they being contacted as well?
We haven't started that yet because I literally just got to the bottom of it yesterday. So I haven't really thought ahead of what's the next step for that, but that is a great idea. About that, definitely working with people if they have gotten like violation letters or stuff too about having a boat on their property, we'll definitely be reaching out to them and saying, hi, we have openings, here's a great solution for it, stuff like that. But yeah, reaching out to wet people who don't have a dry slip is a great.
For those that did not renew, did they give a reason why?
Not a lot of them, but we had a much higher amount of non-renewals for dry slips this year than last year. So, but we didn't really get many reasons why. My guess is because of probably timing. Yeah, since it is earlier this year than last year, that'd be my best guess.
Madam President, Rob has his hand up.
Yeah, just a comment. I just really want to thank Kyle and Michael. I felt like this year with renewals went very smoothly, and the team was really easy to work with. And I got a nice call from Kyle asking about where my boat could safely fit. So I think there's very good communication coming from staff to the members, and we can see where we are on the wait list, and that's what I'm used to seeing. So I just want to thank you, Kyle and Michael, for everything that you did this year with renewals.
Thanks, Rob. And thanks to staff who have been doing a good job.
Thank you, Madam President. Any other questions from the board? GM report.
Anyone else?
Thank
All
you.
right, we can move on to Joel.
Okay, I'll go ahead and cover the January 2025 financial statement. Here's. So I'm covering the January 2025 financial statements. I'm just going to hit on the highlights, obviously, of these. And the first page of this is obviously the balance sheet as well as this. And really, I guess maybe the only interesting thing to point out, just in case, just go point out this prepaid golf membership line item as you see here. So as you can see at the end of December, it was 112,307, and then at the end of January it's down 0, and that's because these are the prepaid golf memberships that we take in October, November, December, the previous year, in this case 2024, and then first thing in January we just recognize it all right in January. And obviously on an annual basis, when we say this are audited, it really doesn't matter if we recognize it all in January or go ahead and recognize it 1/12 of it every month. When it's audited, it's a year end. So the audited financial statements, but past practice is recognizable in January, and it also keeps the golf income statement apples to apples when you look at January from year to year. Now we'll go ahead and look at the income statement here, and you can see. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll start off with the collection rate. So the collection rate, as you can see, is 92.7% at January 2025. As of course, I mentioned this at the Finance Committee meeting, and so the collection rate is budgeted for 2025 is 95%. So that's obviously what we're looking for, 95% collection rate by the end of the year. January, we always start off with our lowest collection rate. It always is the lowest in January, then it works its way up from there. So like, for example, it's 92.7% here at the end of January. For comparison purposes, 2022 is 90.8% at the end of January, but December 2022, we finished out at 97.6%. January 2023 is 92.2%. December 2023, we finished out at 97.93%. Last year, 2024, January is 93.7%, but we finished out the year 2024 at 97.95%. So you can see it's nothing to be alarmed of. And the collection rate's already been calculated for February 2025, and we've already gone from 92.7% up to 94.6% year to date at the end of February. So you can see we're already on the upward track. Now go ahead and focus on, this is the only month, obviously it doesn't matter what column we look at. This is the current month today, January 2025. This is how these statements are set up. And then to the right, these columns, this is the year to date. Obviously, we're looking at January, so it'll be the same. So we'll just look at the year to date columns that focus on that anyways. So if we look at the net income, the operating net income, you can see it's 116,638 for operations. In comparison, based on what I was wondering at the end of January of 2024 is 176,710. So at first that looks like, gee, we're way below where we were at the end of January. We're materially below. But the one difference is when we recognize payrolls here. So let's just say if we, like for example, February has 2 payrolls, and on the payroll date, actually the payroll date will just, that's when it gets recognized in the month. So, so we do that per month, with the one exception of January. So in January, so like for example, in 2024, the first payroll of January was actually for days worked through the 31st of December. So that payroll gets accrued back into the previous year. So when we accrue back payrolls in January, that way we keep all days worked recognized only in the year in which they were worked. So last year of January 2024, one full payroll got accrued back into 2023, which means in January 2024, one payroll was being recognized in the financial statements. Now this year, we have 2 months out of the year in every year where we have 3 payrolls. It just happens so up in the land. January 2025, the first month was January, where we have 3 payrolls. So 1.2 payroll was actually pushed back into 2024. So where I'm going with this, that leaves us with 1.8 payrolls recognized in January versus the year before was only 1. So, and once we get to March 2024, March is the first month with 3 payrolls. All this becomes apples to apples, so I can stop talking about this. And then August, actually, both years coincidentally, that's the other month with 3 payrolls on it. But so where I'm going with this is the 0.8 payrolls that's in this payroll that was not in the January payroll year before that. If I adjust for that, that would be $68,487 more payroll gain this month than year before, January 2024. So if I adjust for that, then this $160,638 operating income surplus in January would then actually go up to about $185,000 if I wanted to make it apples to apples, which is pretty comparable to at the end of January 2024, the operating income was $176,710. So it becomes fairly comparable at that point. And I'll go ahead and so just keep that in mind. I'll hit on this capital reserve fund sheet. And we'll go right to year to date income statement. And you can see, as I talk about the payroll, that's really the most important thing to recognize or to keep in mind when you look at January financial statement. It's not to be alarmed that it's we're on this terrible track. We're starting out lower than year over year, January 2024. Now, looking at the capital reserve fund sheet, and I point this out, I'll go into it out very quickly. But this is a very handy sheet. This is showing us what we're looking at possibly our cash balances at year end 2025 in this case. But this first line right here is obviously the cash at 12/31/2024, and I'll pull this figure down. $3,074,000 for reserve. I went right back into the balance sheet. There's the $3,074,000 reserve right there for period ending December 31/2020. So that's our beginning balance. And then, as you can see, reserve. This we're adding the dues. This is the actual dues collection coming in here. Some interest income on the certain accounts. The 2025 expenditures. So basically, all the checks cut, all the cash going out the door for obligated funds, loan payments. Since the CERF loan is authorized to come out of this account. And this gives us net available cash at the end of January 2025, that $3,053,000. You went back to the balance sheet, there's that $3,053,000 again for CERF. And then in terms of like planning purposes, this is where it gets interesting in terms of, this is the outlook, so obviously the first line right there is the 11-month outlook, so that's the dues at a 95% collection rate. If it stayed at 95% for the whole year, it'll probably deal with that. For the remainder of the year, 11 months. And then material things, circle payments, obviously that's our remaining circle payments, 11 more payments for the year, that would come out of CRRF. And then obviously the interesting thing is the obligated expenses holdings, that 968,967. I'll just quickly, there's that amount right here, as you can see. And this is all of the capital projects that have been approved by the board and that are open at the end of 2020, January 2025. You'll see quite a few of the red dots here. These will all be closed out. And a few more will be closed out as well. But basically, this number is 968, 967, that's everything the board has officially approved, and that's obligated, and that's the total amount of support that's been approved by the board that we could end up spending. Now, there's one line on here in case you were wondering this. Go and point this out. This $2,166 of adult center furnace and water heater replacement that's over budget. And if you're wondering what happens with that, well, since the board only approved $42,422, then I'll take that $2,166 that's been over budget. I'll take that and I'll just charge that to operations. Unless the board decides we'll do a change order on this $2,166, but that's where we'll go. Since the board's not approved to spend fee over that $42,422.
Well, we know where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cash flow out that we were monitoring.
Question, Joel, on
Sure,
that?
yeah.
Didn't we get extra money from the library?
Yes, we did get that, and that was last year, the 40,000.
And that won't be able to cover any of that. That's overage.
Well, I mean. That
I'm trying to think here.
I mean, like that $40,000 obviously was applied to this obligated amount. So like I said, if you approved another 2,000, it's over that by a couple $1,000. But since Linda brought that up, that's a good point. So I'll go ahead and that $40,000 that we got, just as a reminder, as part of that lease agreement. So the 40,000 came in, we transferred that from operations to capital. Now, if you went back and looked at the December financial statements, that would show it. If you looked at the reserve cash balance, you would see a line in here that would show that transfer, that 40,000 from operations to capital. Now, the reason why you don't see that line is that 40,000 is now a part of that 3,074,179 beginning cash balance. That was at what we were before. So all the transfers that happened last year that the board approved won't show up in this 2025 reserve cash balance sheet because it's already now part of that beginning balance, the ending 12/31/2024. And roads, obviously, we covered CRRF roads, it's the exact same drill, just obviously beginning balance, the capital dues contributions being collected for roads right here. Some interest income checks going out the door, about $221, small amount for January. Then you have the January 31, 2025 balance, and then the obligated expenses right here, $140,000, $91. And when I say obligations, obviously that also includes, like I'm looking back at the open capital projects here for CRRF. There's that hazardous tree removal that the board approved in December for that November storm response. There's still $160,546 that could be spent that won't be, quite frankly, because we're done with this. But that is driving down that capital right now. So until something is done with this, which we'll deal with that at the next board meeting, then that would be removed from this obligation, and then the available cash flow right again. And then now, since I mentioned that, I'm going to flip back real fast to the income statement here. So for January, you can see that 26,765. That's the incurred expenses related to that November storm bomb cyclone event that we incurred and paid out in January. And this is all CRRF from that CRRF line, and the roads part of that, which was approved separately. That's we're done with that. And then it's 26,765 at the end of January, and at the end of March, it's up to approximately 30,000. So we don't anticipate anything else being spent on that. Which is good, 'cause this one line item is way under what we Christmas time, we put this in front of the board. You know, there's no quite really knowing exactly how much we're going to spend on that. Now the rest of these columns are exactly the same for, especially like mailboxes, the other dues outline of capital. They come out of capital dues. The UDR column right here. You know, 333,824, that's what the board could approve out of it. At this point. Last year, in January 2024 was 342,207, so fairly similar, obviously it's a little low, but this is just a function of all the dues that come into this and that the board approves, and I'll go ahead and I do describe what UDR is, but I'll go and just describe it real quickly. You know, where these funds come for or come from is this is, so now since I'm talking about January, so you know, and I use this example in finance community, but let's just say there's an individual that they just owe 1 month's worth of dues, December. They haven't paid their December dues yet at the end of December, but they paid them now in January. So the December 2024 dues, the operations component of that 2024 dues payment goes to UDR at this point. It does not go into here in the income statement as a part of regular operations. It would actually be down in here in the other UDR activity portion of it. But you're looking at like the actual cash part of it coming in here. That's so this is prior period dues collections on the operations slice of that dues payment. Now, the CRRF, the roads portion of it, and the mailbox portion of it goes to those funds, like, but it's just then it builds up into UDR that board can approve to pay unplanned expenses or whatever, like right now we have like for collections activities or foreclosures and the GM search obviously came from UDR, fire lights like that. That's what gets approved out there. Now I'll just hit on this income statement real quick and we'll be done with this. So I'm just now skipping over the current month because it's going to be the exact same as the year-to-date months. We're just 1 month into the year, and I'll just focus on it. So now you're seeing there's that 116,638 operating net income. This just shows what department's responsible for that amount. We'll focus on golf since this is our biggest revenue center right here in operations. So golf right here, you can see they took in $177,775 in revenue. Obviously, a big chunk of that was prepaid dues that are now being recognized in January. So it's done in January. Last year, January 2024, $167,091. So revenue is actually up by $10,684. The expenses, which is the actual salary benefits, $51,812, and all other expenses, $44,215 here, they come up to $96,027. Last year at the end of January 2024 is $50,481, but then again, there's about 0.8 payrolls more here, just like what I described. So if I were to adjust that away, then we'll just focus on this right here. So the net income for golf at the end of January was $81,748. The net income at the end of January 2024 was $160,610. But if I went ahead and adjusted that 1.8 payrolls out of there to make it apples to apples, then it would go up to $103,399. So it's in the ballpark of essentially where it was the year before that. And I think for the most part, that's probably the that pretty much covers the most important finance and finance savings. Does anyone have any questions about these?
Any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Off to a good start.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, 5C committee updates. HPC, Bob, can you hear me? Do you have an update on, or sorry, not HPC, ACC, Dan, sorry.
I can do ACC. Yeah, we continue to chug along our committee of 6. The few is volunteers, but we're getting by. And we're getting a lot of help from our compliance manager, Alan. He's helping us out quite a bit. Talking to the applicants and helping them present things in a way that we can actually consider. So we're very grateful to have him helping us. And we're continuing to roll out our 2025 policies. And I think the contractors at this point all understand the changes that were enacted at the beginning of this year, and we're working with them. And if variances are required, we do consider those, but we're getting some much less steep driveways now. So we're doing good work out there.
How many people do you still need?
We could use 3 more.
3 more?
So how's the forecast for new starts, new housing starts, is it still?
We've got 2 for this next budget. We have a lot of them that started out trying to get the old policy. Squeeze those in, but
Got a big surge at the end of last
we
year.
did, yeah.
Yeah, there's one across the street, right?
Currently at 17 applications.
Right now, we have 21 for this week.
21.
Or actually, it's 21 agenda items minus the minutes and all that, so it's 19.
19.
New builds? These are all new builds?
2 new constructions.
2 new.
Yeah, there are some resubmissions because of, some we had to deny last time. They're coming back with some revisions for us. So we're seeing a few more resubmissions than we usually do because they're still trying to work with the new policies.
Now, are the contractors happy with all the changes, or they're complying?
They are a little more onerous, but they understand them and they know why we're doing them, and we're trying to meet them halfway. I mean, we've got to look out for our neighbors here, and we're working with the contractors too. So we're making compromises, trying to make everybody happy.
Thank you. We gave document review, Linda, I know
So we haven't had any meetings this year yet. There's business from last year that we need to do this year. We are looking for our member volunteer. I've reached out and we're gonna reach out again and see if we can get our 3rd person on the committee so that we can get things rolling that's hung up from last year and stuff. So that's kind of where we're at.
Thank you. Okay.
No confidence.
We have faith. Finance committee, right?
Right, so we met earlier this week, actually, and Joel's obviously covered the financial report. I think the only comments I'd make were one of the reasons, even though overall golf income for January is up, primarily due to annual passes, but income would have been probably a little bit higher if we wouldn't have such awful inclement weather, frozen region, having to close the golf course for like over 2 weeks. So I think the golf revenue will recover nicely. So one of the returns and the days get longer and warmer. The other one thing I'd like to comment on is in the financials. In the reserve funds. In the operating reserve funds, on the right hand side of that reserve page, it's page 13 of our packet, the emergency ops column. And I was talking with Joel a little bit about the purpose of that, and our policy is to have set aside, if we can, roughly about 2 months of operating revenue in that fund. And right now we have roughly about 1 month. So ideally, we would want to be kind of, if we can, when we can, having a little more cushion there. Although, you know, if something disastrous happened, we could do some other things to mitigate our monthly expenses, but that's our policy, so I just wanted to point that out, that ideally we would have more than that home. Otherwise, I think we're looking good. We've got great guidance and leadership from not only the finance committee, but our one and only Joe Melvin. So thank you all for all that hard work.
Good. So our golf course gets shut down for like 2 weeks due to inclement weather. They're gonna manage and staff their own, they're getting paid to be.
Oh man, did you see them out chopping trees and
It's like,
cleaning up stuff?
They were doing stuff.
They were busy, yeah,
Yeah,
because there was a lot of stuff to clean up. But they did a lot of the annual pruning. I don't know if you don't golf a lot, you probably don't notice the willow trees have been like pruned back.
oh, no,
Basically, yeah, and they got to use that new dump trailer. They were chipping into that and hauling a lot of stuff. So
I was out there with snowshoes and they're in the snow.
They were doing a lot of mulching too of some of the beds around the clubhouse. It's looking really sharp. Looking some of the trees, so it's more light onto the ninth green that they're resodding here. It was going to be the end of this week, but I think the sod company said, no, it's too wet and cold. Maybe next month.
So the staff keeps busy doing cleanup and shining stuff. I'm still working.
That's right.
So we still have the overhead. We just don't have the income due to the weather.
Yeah.
So it all catches up. This is part of running business.
Right.
They're using their brand new machine, they were doing the irrigation this week.
Yeah, that's right.
All of these trees along here were all trimmed. If you look on the golf course, they were all done and shipped and, yeah, they definitely keep busy.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Nice.
And hey, while the sun shines.
Greg runs a tight crew over there.
Thanks, Rick. Okay, next up, Ray, long range planning committee.
The long range planning committee, we have got an assignment given to us by the board of both barn 6 and barn 8 to come up with some good plans for both of those locations. Long range planning committee, we meet on the first Thursday of each month, so we've had 3 official meetings, and on the second or so meeting, we decided that we would have subcommittees. A barn 8 committee and a barn 6 committee. And those individual committees, unfortunately, I got Rick involved with this, we're co-chairing this, so he had a committee and I had a committee, and we've been meeting several times on the side. Some are Zoom, some are not, but we're all working hard, and we're discovering that we'll have a little bit more official report after our next board meetings, where we have subcommittee barn 8 come together with barn 6, and we're going to put together all the stuff that we both learned on both sides. But just some highlights, we have learned that barn 8 repairs, if we're to start working on that with the big scope that we have, that, you know, a lot of that is going to have to be shut down. It might have to be shut down for close to 2 years. So it creates a big problem. So barn 6 is even more important. Like, we maybe better do something down there first before we start doing barn 8. So we're coming up with the needs of the community that could go in the area where barn 6 is present. The present building that is there is definitely not structurally sound. And we get several documents and reissued and double checked to make sure that all 14 of those support beams are rotten. It's not a good thing. So definitely needs to be something replaced. So we have some drawings. We're trying to work with what we had already been done. And the community's already paid for some drawings. I think there needs to be some modifications, and we'll meeting this next April 3rd, and to work on that, and then hopefully like the next board meeting, we'll have some more concrete information to keep us going forward, because we do have a deadline, like 90 days to come up with a really good plan. And we are meeting and we're all busy working. It's a good time put in. So thank you for that time. More to come.
Thanks, Ray. Okay, N&E. This time around, actually, it is you.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I needed to mute. So I report for the N&E Committee this month. Wanted to just let everybody know that the committee makeup, with myself being chair, the end of my elected term is at the AGM this year. And Michael Wadsworth, Joe Jean Cos, and Don Juntas, they are volunteers that was approved by the board. So hopefully we can get some folks interested in the community that would like to run and fill some of those terms. We do have an open position on the committee. Gail Chiarello needed to step away, so we reluctantly but fully understood her rationale why she needed to leave. So some of the things we are working on, the contract proposal from Unilect was approved by you last month, and so we've gone forward with working with Unilect again this year. There was one of the things we asked for was could we see, was there like a video or some training materials that we could use to show people about how hybrid voting works, particularly with the electronic voting tool that they use. And a video was sent over to us. I'm not certain that all of the board members received that, but I will make sure that you all get that. We are going to be working hard on a communication campaign to let our fellow neighbors know how hybrid voting works. And we are going to be starting to work on that. Normally, we have our meetings the last Monday of the month. We are not going to have our meeting this coming Monday, the 31st. We will be moving that to April 14th so that we can have all of our committee with us. There's someone who's traveling. We definitely want to have a full committee because we are going to be working out that communication plan, and also really getting down to assigning some roles and responsibilities and people that are going to be taking the lead on some of those. So that's what we got going. We're excited. It's going to be a great year. And does anybody have any questions for me? Great.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, continuing business, 6A.
Committee.
Did I miss the safety committee? Sorry, I'm not doing those tonight. Safety committee, sorry about that.
That's all right, thank you. Here. We had a very busy committee this year, very productive, I think. Have to thank Tom. Hope he's feeling better soon, but for filling in for me when I was unable to chair a meeting in February. As I mentioned, we have the Fireways program coming on page 12. Have to really give a big thank you to Judy White for organizing and getting speakers lined up. We'll be requesting a little funding for renting some AV equipment and maybe some little snacks and beverages to go on with that evening. And as I mentioned earlier, the limb pickup starting April 21st. Another project we have going that is coming along are the plans to build a display and more than just a display, with some signage and some posting of life jackets are gonna be borrowed for folks that either forgot them or don't realize the need to have them for certain floating vessels, so. Watch for that, we're hoping to get those up for the summer season. Have to thank Ted Wayne for heading up that project. Another one has been the school bus safety signage. Pauline Mitchell's been kind of brought this, but again, continuing on from last year about her concern about cars making safe driving around the school times when school buses are picking up and dropping off. And so we got some signs up from central office that Max helped organize, I think, with Diane and Michael, so thank you for that, and hopefully that will help. We're thinking maybe we'll try to get some little blinking yellow lights to attach to those, especially in the wintertime, not so much now as the days are getting longer, but just to help bring attention to those high traffic areas that.
They made them that are motion activated too. So as a car is coming up here, can you
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah. And then we are continuing to look at some future projects as well, so keep your eyes and ears open about announcements for that. We're hoping to maybe have one or two more public meetings to inform and educate our owners on some other topics.
What time is that meeting on May 12th?
May 12th, 6:30 in the barn.
6:30 p.m. Okay, if you should show up, that's gonna be pretty good.
It should be good.
Yeah.
Madam President, could I, or Madam Vice President, in the interest of time for Tyler and Kyle, I'm wondering if we could move their items up. Kyle's on the clock. And Tyler, I know is here, so it's up to the board if you wouldn't mind. 6B would be Kyle. And of course, 7B is the bridges.
Okay, does anyone have an issue with that? Okay, let's go ahead. Kyle?
This would be 6B on page 17.
Oh, great. So this is just a revision of the memo from last board meeting about just fixing some of a portion of the fines and fees schedule when it came to how we do monthly passes and day passes for both the pool and the fitness center. To re-jog your memory, basically, we don't have a means to kind of designate the difference between if somebody purchased a pool pass or a fitness pass, but they can use either one. There's no scanner between after the fitness store, but they're being charged at different rates. So just for clarity, uniformity, the proposal is to move to a seasonal price structure for non-members. Obviously, it will stay free for members at this time. But yeah, so we updated the request last time of including what the fine and fee schedule looks like now and what it would look like as well. We did make a formatting change of removing the members, guests, and renters column and non-member to just consolidating it to non-member because those be the same thing when it comes to the fitness center and pools. The only other part of this would be requesting the permission of the board to start issuing non-residents access cards that are time limited based off the month they purchase a monthly pass, so they can use the fitness center at all hours that we're open.
That's the $8 card.
Yes, there would be an additional $8 fee on top of the monthly for like a one-time fee for their card.
All right, thanks. So the motion, move the board of directors authorize the general manager and recreation manager to adjust the fee schedule per this proposal. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Yeah.
I just have a question, so, while I was thinking of this, you have daily use and you run a person $10, but then it says fitness and center monthly membership, and it's like all ages. Isn't there an age limit for people to use the gym or no?
Yes, there is. 12 and 13-year-olds may use the gym with a parent or an adult 18 or older present with them. 11 and under cannot use it. So
Okay, I
technically,
just wondered how, because it says all ages, and I'm like, okay.
yes.
You're gonna deal with that when they come in and deal.
Subject to our minor policy. Yes.
So just the way I'm looking at it, the only real difference I see is that between Memorial Day and Labor Day, adults who normally pay $35 a month are now going to be paying $75 a month for that season.
Yes.
That's higher than like the in-town clubs with pools.
So that's just adjusting it to the price of what was set for the pool for this year. We're not changing that price, we're just
Right.
meeting that price of what was
What if
set.
they don't wanna use the pool?
Like I said, we have no way to distinguish whether they are or not using the pool, because there's no scanners there for them to access the pool or not. So like somebody could be paying for a pool membership and just use the fitness
How many
center.
people do you think that are non-residents who are using the gym on a regular monthly basis year round? Going into the pool in the summer?
I wouldn't be able to say whether they are using it on there or not, because like I said, we have no way to track that. Like, I mean, the revenue for health club is very low when it comes to outside of it. Last year was about $1,000, so it's not necessarily about trying to get more money based off that. It's just for the sake of uniformity, so we have that there because, like I said, there's no like somebody could pay $35 for the fitness membership, but then then just be using the pool and circumvent it the other way, if that makes sense.
So that's a really steep jump. If we have that many few members who do not live here, who are accessing the gym, they're obviously here for the gym. On the rare occasion that one of them stuck in and swam a couple laps in the pool, it seems like that's really penalizing the other ones that don't. And why not just say during these months, your gym membership includes the pool?
And that is totally an option if that's the way you feel like you want to go.
I just think it's really steep, and the last thing you want is to just even to make. I mean, we see when we raise rates too rapidly, especially when there's huge jumps like that, the tendency tends to be a lot of, we'll just go. I mean, we'll go to the indoor pools and we'll go to the places that have pools year round if we're gonna pay this rate. So I'm not sure, and especially those that might be using our gyms who are renters. And I just think it doesn't really cost us anymore to have, if you have 2 or 3 people in the year for those 3 months, you use the pool a few times to raise the steep. I just don't think it's showing a lot of goodwill on our part.
Well, renters would have the same amenity use rights as an owner.
Yeah, but not if they were being charged, not if they didn't have the rights assigned up, if their privileges were not assigned to them and they happen to be, people who use it.
Yeah, we had thought about this, this has been on the agenda now three times, and we had thought that, we wanted to try to reserve as much of the pool use during the summer for members. And if we were driving a few non-members away from the pool, we wanted to err on the side of members because the pool is very busy in the summer.
But we might be not only moving them away from the pool, but moving them away from the gym that for the other 9 months of the year they rely on. And now they don't, because they're going to have to be paying an additional, 35 to 75, additional $40 a month for those few months. That, to me, that looks like a money grab. And if we only have a very few people, you said $1,000 total a year. If we're doing $1,000 a year and our pass is $35, we only have 3 people. So to make this huge change, I think it's going to be more penalizing those people. And I just don't think I think that's a bad move on the part of our association. I just want to be on the record. I think it's a bad move. I will not support that.
What would you recommend, that leave it as it is?
I would leave it as it is and just say, during the summer, if you're a dues paying member and you're using the gym, then bonus, you get to use the pool. And if only, like I said, there's only $1,000 total revenue at $35 a month. We're looking at 400, we're looking at maybe 2 people to raise this up just on the surface, just saying, hey, look, people are looking at our fees and saying, they don't know it's only 2 people. I think it's just why.
Sure, we don't know if
I
they're
just don't know
sneaking
why.
into the pool or not.
Yeah, and it brings up
That was the whole thing. Right.
But if there's only $1,000 total revenue in gym memberships from non-members, there can't possibly be that many people sneaking into the pool. If they're sneaking into the pool, they're sneaking into the gym as well. So I think maybe we gotta focus on if they're using the gym and they're not a member, are they paying their dues? And it brings me up to something else too that we just discovered in a last week, is that use of the facilities by our own members. I don't know if everybody here knows, and maybe you could clarify, Kyle, that when one card is, if you're a family, if you have two kids, husband and wife and an 8-year-old child, only one card is issued. That other, you can't use your spouse's card to access our facilities, right? Correct?
That is not true. No.
Well, that's what we were told.
I don't know who told us that.
It
It came up when we were talking about that.
Yeah.
When I leave my wife's car home,
But you're not supposed to be.
the door goes click.
I know, but see, so I think, and also it was brought, like I said, you're here to tell us, because when we were sitting there talking about the short-term rental committee, is that every person's issued a card. If a husband is issued the card and the wife wants to use the facilities, they need to pay to get their own card. You cannot let somebody in on your card. Also, that if you have a child and they want it, because they can't use the facilities without an adult, they can't be issued a card until they're 14, correct?
Right.
That if they go with a neighbor, that neighbor can't take that child without that child paying, because their adult with carrying the card for them is not with them. Is that correct?
So if you're talking about so 2 children wouldn't be allowed to go by themselves unless one was 8. Or unless they were with
No,
an
it's like, say I have an 8-year-old.
Okay.
And my neighbor across the street has an 8-year-old, they're best friends. Both homeowners. If that neighbor takes my child, because I'm not with them with my card, that child is not considered a resident and would need to pay to use the pool.
If they don't live in Sudden Valley, yes,
No,
they would.
well, you didn't want, you said that.
Okay, so they live in Sudden Valley for
Yeah.
their child kind of thing.
Should be allowed to.
That's what I want clarification, because we were talking about this and this very thing came up and
The only exception is that in our Brevo system, we track children, minors, when a parent fills it out. So if they say, I live at, or my mom's name is, Susie Sue, we would look Susie Sue up in the system, and then if they say their name and they're listed as a minor on there, and let's say they're 16, forgot their card, they're going to the pool, then we would let them in, yes.
okay.
It's only if they aren't
So
listed as
we
a
were
minor.
brought- So we were brought wrong information.
Sounds
Okay,
yes.
as long as I know that I can use my husband's card and go to the gym without.
Yeah, if the names don't match, then we just look you up in P3 if you're an
You
adult.
just have to pay for anything past the first card.
Well, if you're,
$8.
yeah, so we used to all when you moved in, every single member of your household, down to your
Oh.
6-year-old child, received a card.
Oh.
And that was when we were private. So, and security could stop you and ask you for your card. And every person here, every household who owned in Sudden Valley had a card. I believe if you were renting, you had to have a card too, because you could be asked to leave, because it was all private property. The whole, remember time, the whole thing was private property.
Part-time.
Oh,
Lindsay, you want to say something?
I just wanted to say, so we've got daily use year round, then we've got fitness center monthly membership. Instead of September through April, can't we just make that year round? And then just leave the fitness center pool combinations below that, where they're at? That way, if you're a non-resident, and you don't wanna use the pool or whatever, you still can pay your 35. I'm saying, you've got it now that it's September through April, why not just say year round if it's just they wanna use the gym?
I mean, that's totally an option, well, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm recommending, is just keep it
It's
35.
and change it to year round.
So,
Again, that was the purpose in carving those out, to eliminate the people who bought a $35 membership and were using the pool.
Or vice versa, buying a $35 membership and getting a $75 pool membership.
That was the reason we carved out the seasonality, because between outside of those months there, at September through April, not gonna be swimming.
Yeah, sooner or later, somebody will, if you've got somebody that's, you only are one or two people that are, they're a non-member, and if all of a sudden they're coming. That's true, and it's like, wait a minute, you've been using the pool, at that time, you'd make that correction.
Yeah, we would if we were able to catch that, but
Yeah.
again, I mean, they can easily leave from the outside through the exit door, people bring in towels to use the sauna and wear swimsuits in the sauna, so therefore. We don't fully know exactly, and they can just tell us, yeah, I'm using the sauna when they're using the pool, so unless we can catch them in the act and we know them face by face. That they're out there, then we wouldn't be able to really.
We're just offering a solution, the board doesn't have to adopt it.
Absolutely,
We
not,
can
yeah.
stay with what we're doing, it'll be the most simple, but we'd be remiss if we didn't bring these things to you as a management and offer you some options.
All I would say is to modify this proposal to simply say the fitness center a monthly membership is on a year-round basis. I agree with Lori on that.
So that what it would have to be modified is the monthly, so do you wanna say the monthly fitness pass of $35 a month? January through December, and that includes the pool, it does not include the pool. Or maybe say pool,
And you could add on there, pool not included.
yeah, and then you could just say, discounted pool pass, so maybe they wouldn't have to pay. If they're already paying $35, then they could just pay an extra $20 a month or something to have the pool added on. And just go with just go with the honor system. If it's only $1,000 a year. If you just take 1,000 divided by 35.
Yeah.
You're only having a couple people, so to make all these changes, and it just doesn't seem to make sense, it just doesn't seem to make. I mean, it's
to like just an extra $10 in the summer months, just to kind of, because they are getting that's a bonus in the summer. That'd be a way you could do it, is just bump it.
That seems like it seems like just as more record keeping and to have to
So just,
do it,
Could
but
we-
I mean, I can.
Could we ask you to mark this up the way that you would approve it, and then Kyle will modify it, we'll bring it to the next board meeting?
we can get it, I think we can get it done tonight, rather than making Kyle come back again.
That'd be great.
So just leave it, just take out the second two columns, just say fitness center monthly membership. Per person only, it's just $35, daily use 10, and just take out the second two columns.
The proposed,
Yeah,
you're saying columns, sorry.
oh, sorry, like second two lines,
So
sorry,
So just take out the monthly fitness center,
May to August, the
Yeah.
May to August lines, just take out the last two lines. And just leave it at $10 and $35.
but that's exactly what's above.
Yeah, the same.
It said that day pass for fitness center and pool is 10.
Well, let's say you just wanna leave it as is, so then you just take out the second two lines, maybe I'm missing something.
Are you looking at
Yeah,
the
so just
green one here, proposed, and
Yeah, the proposed non-members per fee, daily use $10.
In your.
So for the daily pool pass, just on the top, so basically, we're just saying if you have a pool pass that includes the fitness center. Wouldn't it be more logical to do the other way around if you have? a
I am
fitness center?
sorry, it's the fitness center, it's the first column in blue, the very top,
Yep,
and then it says daily use.
year-round per person, all
10.
ages 10. Fitness center monthly membership, see, and then
First person calling.
I would say year-round, pool not included is 35, but then you have to decide. Is this too unreasonable?
I would just take out the pool not included, just leave it at that, and as Lori said, for the 5 people that are sneaking into the pool.
If they are, we don't know.
They may not even be,
Yeah.
because not everybody wants to use the pool, I mean, we don't.
I mean, if you were a fitness person and you're in the gym and you're working out and you wanna go use the pool and there's all these kids playing in it, you're doing turn around
You're
and walk.
probably gonna go do something else, we'll have to
Yeah. So why don't you just do it under the current non-member pricing, day fitness pass $25, monthly fitness pass $35. Day pool pass 10, monthly use pool pass 50, monthly adult pool pass 75. And if you wanted to add anything, you could just say, I wouldn't change anything. I mean, It sounds like you're worried about the people more about the people who are using the pool pass, staying and using the gym. And do we think that's happening?
Actually, it's the opposite. People who are having gym membership.
But we already
Either way-
have that many people doing that. If it's $1,000 of revenue and $35.
I think either way, kind of the main point of this is just to point out that like we're charging for different things, but we don't have an effective way to be able to accurately charge for what is
Then,
happening.
then the goal should be to figure out how we can accurately charge for who's using what, maybe.
That would just be installing scanners by the pool then.
Right,
But that's gonna get expensive.
yeah, I mean, is it cost effective, what are we losing?
Well, I guess that's the other side of it too, is, I mean, as Michael said, as a part of management staff, it's important to kind of point out these things and then go from there. I just hope one of this was kind of proposing just a first potential step of trying to rectify that. If there's something worth being rectified, we can take the route of just saying it's not worth being rectified and we'll just go with it. That's always the other option too, you know?
Do you have a lot of people who come in using the pool who on a day, well, I know you haven't been here through the whole summer, but that come to use the pool and say, oh, can I use the gym also?
Not that I'm aware of, but again, other than me being down here on occasion, I was at the Welcome Center last year, so I
Yeah,
wasn't
right, that's what I
here
said.
enough
You
to
don't
hear
really have
that. So, like I said, this isn't necessarily pointing out an issue that is currently occurring, but it's pointing out an issue that could occur.
Yeah, I just think that raising the monthly fitness pass by $40 for those months for somebody who may or may not be using the pool. I think if they're paying $35 a month for the fitness pass and they wanna go jump in the pool with a bunch of kids.
Okay, I mean, if
I mean, that's what.
y'all are okay with it, then absolutely, yeah, we can just keep up with what we have here.
Yeah,
So-
or we could say, you know, fitness centers only for members.
Right, and then we just assume people are operating on the honor system and unless we notice.
Yeah, I mean, is there a problem? I mean, if we have a few people who are not members and are paying $35 a month for us to use our fitness center. Does anyone have a huge objection that if they went and jumped in the pool and did a few laps, that could not be included as a benefit of the fitness center?
Could be if they were an adult, you have to understand that we are required to have lifeguards at the pool. So we have increased cost once you start using the pool, whether you're an adult or not, we have to have them there.
Right.
Because we're open to the public.
So for those 3 people who might be using it, do you think it would tip our lifeguard over? Cause you'd already have to have a buffer for that anyway.
The pool's open, you have to have. like-
Yeah, so you're already having the staff of that person who's using the fitness center, who wants to use the pool, if we're already at capacity, they're not gonna be able to use the pool anyway, so it's kind of a moot point.
So would you then,
I have a question.
go ahead.
Is there a motion on the floor? Are we maybe wanting to table this motion? I'm not trying to cut off the discussion, guys, but I'm just.
There is a motion.
For discussion.
Okay, so do we want to table this? It sounds like the directors are feeling like there's maybe a different way to word this. I'm just trying to kind of help things move along.
I'm just wondering if we need to make Kyle come back a third time, and if we can't just, are we closely?
Okay, I'll make.
Lou, what do you think?
What I think, somebody who spends a good part of their life in a gym. If the gym has a pool, everybody that uses the gym can use the pool. The only difference here is our pool is outside, so it's only open in a certain amount of months, but there is no way to get to that pool without going through the gym.
Yeah.
So it should just be a single price for everything. And whether you want to increase that during the summer months to compensate for the use of lifeguards, then it should just increase for everybody.
That's what we were trying to do, is with the May through August, $75
So what if we just say that, hanging off of Stu here, under current non-member pricing, this is day fitness pass, a monthly fitness pass. We just say fitness pass includes the use of the gym or the pool.
Now,
We just want them to use it.
The question is, do we want to increase it by?
Over $35 a month?
Well, not $35 a month.
No, I meant over the $35 a month.
Yeah, over the $35 a
So like-
month, because during.
So
the
only
summer
during those months?
During the summer months,
It's
we have
45
increased
40.
costs associated with using the gym and the pool. Or running the gym and the pool. During the winter, it's not an issue. So that's really the only question.
And when you get to the short-term rentals, we had this problem in San Diego. Because obviously we have the same thing, golf courses, pools, the swim fit center. We had to have a way to differentiate between the people who were the Airbnb short-term renters who were coming in and having a big impact on costs in the community and the regular owners.
But this doesn't even affect the short-term renters, because they're always gonna have to use probably a day pass.
Either that or.
And this doesn't. None of this
The
thing.
numbers could be different once we look at whatever short-term rental rules you guys come up with, because maybe those people have to buy a pass for their people.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden you're going to have a whole bunch more of these people that have to pay, even if they're owners. If I'm renting to non-members, then I should have to pay for my renters to be able to use it, but that's a future thing.
Sure.
For now, I mean, as we are with very few people, I mean, I think we either look at leaving it as the
This
price
one-
now or raising it by.
This one actually lowers it, because it goes to the proposed, it has the day pass, which includes the fitness center and the pool at $10. A day pool pass is $10 and a day fitness pass is $25. So if you were a short-term renter and just wanted to do it for a day, why wouldn't you just buy the $10
Mhm.
fitness center and pool instead of buying the $25 only fitness center? So these just don't make sense. It just doesn't. It's like if I wanted to buy a day in August and I wanted to use the gym, I wouldn't pay the $25 pass fee to use the gym when I could pay the $10 to use the gym and the pool. See, it just doesn't, it's not logical.
Well, we moved it down to $10 to match the pool price there, so it was on the seasonal rotation itself, I guess, where it would be. Granted, yes, the day pass would not account for extra, but it would be the monthly that did, but it was just bringing them into that uniformity again.
But why would you put the day pass for the proposed? Why would you have the day pass? Why would you include the fitness center in that?
Because it could be, I mean, that kind of could be the reverse scenario too, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, somebody looks at it, they could be like, okay, I could pay $10 for the pool and use the fitness center, like reverse wise, you know, just for.
That's what I would do.
What, you would pay the lower cost to you,
Absolutely.
that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
like, there's holes in the fee schedule.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, like, right now, as it would stand, you would pay $25 a day to use the fitness center, but only $10 a day to use the pool.
Mhm.
Yet, a monthly membership for the fitness center is significantly lower than a monthly membership to the pool.
Right.
So, like I said, there are holes in this that kind of have to be addressed.
Yeah, because what, you could just buy a monthly fitness pass instead of a pool pass.
Yes, exactly.
I think
So that's
really,
why
I think,
the month for the summer.
Yes, that's the reason for the seasonal, so it's just all uniform.
I know, I think it all needs to be looked at. I just don't think it's. I just don't either. I think you either just. Until you know that there's a problem. Of the 3 people, say, who are doing, I mean, you know how many have monthly passes, right? Do they
Yeah,
usually have,
it's quite nominal, but
is it usually month after month after month, or do they do a month here and a month there?
it's usually a month here, a month there. We don't really have anybody who's renewing month after month, they're not doing one person is. But I mean, to kind of counterpoint what you had just said, it's more like my rationale behind this is trying to get ahead of a problem before it starts versus all of a sudden I have all these people using it that they're not, you know what I mean?
I think the other thing too, Lori, is if you look below where it says current, instead of it had in there, and it's something we were also trying to get rid of, is it says members, guests and renters. See where, on the suite, and we're just trying to get it so that it just, we're talking about non-members here, that's part of the reason.
But aren't the rentals being moved into non-members unless their owner of the rental has assigned their benefits over?
Yeah, I think she's just pointing out there it's redundant, like members, guests and renters, like if they're not listed, if they're like renters can have their
Can be
members
either way.
assigned, yeah. So basically just non-members is a much more blanket term than adding a second column that just duplicates over with more complicated.
Maybe
language.
a compromise would be to say that those that do go to renew their monthly pass in the during Memorial Day and Labor Day, when they go to renew it, just simply ask them, do you want to add on use of the pool? And if they say, oh, no, I don't use the pool, keep them at 35, they say, oh, yeah, that would be great. Then say, okay, your new rate, it's an extra $20 a month to use the pool. And we'll just, and make it, or whatever, however much you decide that you think it's the extra expense for them to use the pool is. But I think we need to give them a choice. I think it's just making it to everybody, you know, up to $75 a month when they're used to paying 35. I just think it's a real kind of kick in the gut.
I mean, that's really fair.
But the current pool pass is 75.
Current pool pass is 75.
So if somebody has a gym membership and wants to use the pool, you don't think they should pay 75?
Yeah, they can pay 75. And like I said, but I don't think that, I think we need to give the people that use only the gym and don't want to use the pool.
Yeah.
You ask them, they'll say,
I understand that. You just said though.
I just picked a number.
At $20.
I just picked it, I said $20 or whatever.
Well, because I mean, by reading the current fee schedule, if you want a monthly membership for both the fitness center and the pool, you're paying $110.
Right.
Just to be clear, so.
So they pay 110.
Huh?
They would pay 110.
Okay, just making sure I'm understanding that that's still the direction you want
Just
to go.
so that they know it's separate, but you can give, maybe you can give them a $10 off or something, just for having a combo pass or something, but. I think you should just ask them if they say, oh no, I'm not a pool user, and just keep it at 35, and then you have documentation, they decline the pool, and if you see them going into the pool. Then you can revoke the gym membership for the month.
It's a least, you know, you don't want to be.
I mean, again, that's just my thoughts, I'm hoping I'm allowed to express my thoughts in here,
Absolutely.
and that's my thoughts, so I'm done.
I'm with you, I just say we change the fitness center monthly membership to say year round, not just,
It currently does.
no, it says September through April. On this proposed one.
No, I know on the proposed one, but what's it currently right now, it's not.
But I'm saying
Yeah.
if we're gonna go with this proposed change in fees, I would like to say instead of September through April, just make that year round to 35. Cause they, you know.
It currently is.
Yeah.
It is
Currently.
That's not a change.
But we're being asked to look at this blue one. You know, the proposed, and that's why I'm saying, let's take the September, April out and just put year round is what it is, year round is what it is.
Right, but currently, right now, if we took out September or April and put year round, that's currently what we have approved. Is year round.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, when you look at the proposal, it says only September through April.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
so
just
really
saying,
September through April.
and make it what it currently is, then whatever.
So you're saying make no change?
Other than they're taking out members, guests and renters, you're taking out a column to make it more clear. Maybe. Not make a change now, and if the STR situation changes, we bring it back. You can.
That's
I'll
what
do that because I think something's gonna happen with the SDRs.
I think that's gonna be a change.
We'll have to revamp this whole thing again.
I'm going to table this until we hear back from STR.
Yeah.
It's second.
No, table over rules.
But you had a motion on the
Tabling over rules, tabling as an order of rules.
Yes, it automatically kills the.
Yeah, so I second that.
One quick question, if I may.
Okay,
Can we at least potentially proceed with the portion that allows us in recreation to provide non-residents cards at the fee for at least the pool season, because that will help us out a lot.
$8.
That providing, charging an $8 fee, but if they buy a membership, like a pool membership or a fitness membership, we can start issuing them very different looking but access cards.
we can make that a separate one.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Make that a separate one.
Beautiful.
Okay, so. We've got a second, anyone else, all in favor of tabling? Okay, well, then I would like to submit a Well, you're right, is anybody opposed?
If you table it, you kill it. You kill the whole thing. Come back.
So it's a new motion if you.
It'll come back again, yep.
Yeah,
So something you kill it.
So I'll make a motion. I don't know how to say this. I make a motion that we approve an $8 access card fee for non-residents who purchase a monthly membership to the pool.
A second. That's good.
That motion work for you?
Yeah.
So we'll.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Rob, you're good with that, right?
Rob doesn't vote.
All right. I'm doing this tonight. I am awesome.
But if Rob did have a vote, he would agree with it.
Seconded Lori's motion.
I did.
You do, thank you.
Okay.
I need a lot of help tonight, sorry.
Hey, I started out the day by spilling all my prescription pills.
Let's get our contractor up here.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so next, because we're out of order, we're going to go, we have two bridge requests and we have a capital request for we have one with the two bridges and one with one bridge. So do we want to look at these together? And recommend, we talked about the bridges in the finance department, maybe you wanna let them know what we looked at.
Yes, the finance committee considered the village project 9924.6, the bridge. The two bridges, we discussed. A little bit also just doing one of the bridges now and holding back some money. Delaying the second bridge. But after some further discussion about inevitable increasing of costs, we already got permits and all that, ready to go. We got the money. It was the recommendation of the finance committee to move ahead with both bridges and to make that recommendation for the board for that approval. It turns out that the estimates that were done on the cost of the two bridges were higher than the actual bids. So there's a savings there of about a little over $80,000 on those two bridges. And of course, then the tax due on those also is going to be less. So between that and the original set aside or allotment of funding for the two bridges and all the necessary accoutrements that go along with that, it ends up being if the estimates of the engineering report are close to about $113,000 less than what was allocated for this project. Now, it was good to point out the fact that even though the bridges have been bid and we know the cost of the bridges, we do not yet know a hard cost on the actual work, and that will have to go out to bid after, if and when the board approves moving ahead.
So I guess I would ask is how many people on the board would like to look at just the one bridge option, or do we just want to look at the two bridge option?
I like the bigger option personally.
2 foot. Just getting across the water. It's gotta happen.
You know, if we put off I don't know which is the two of the bigger project, but it's like next year, whatever, if we put it off until next year, it's gonna be at least 4% more. That's, Joel changes that all the time. You know, yes, there's how much money is there, but it's like with what we're hearing with imports of steel and everything else, these bridges, if I'm not mistaken, and I would have to ask Tyler, but if we would approve both the memo for both bridges, we can have the general manager sign the contracts for these bridges and they'd be ready to ship to us, correct?
That would start the submittal process and acquisition of materials in Sudden Valley would own them, yes. The price
Yeah,
would be
because the
locked.
bridges are
Price would be
being,
locked.
the bridges are being bought
Bought, correct.
separately
Correct.
from the construction. They're not gonna, they'll be sitting here.
And that matches how Sudden Valley did it in 2022.
Yes, for the big bridge by the library.
So we're just gonna just look at the two bridge proposals, that's what we've decided? Okay.
Laura, you on board with that, or just looking at the two bridges?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
That was my piece.
I was gonna piece of
I know, I thought too. So Tyler, you wanna talk about this first and?
Would you like me just to read the capital request, or is there just a brief description of it, or a question?
Description, yeah.
So there's two bridges that are proposed to be replaced this year. The one is the Area Z maintenance bridge that comes in from gate 3913, feeds the community garden, and the maintenance department uses that heavily. That bridge has been reduced to a 3-ton weight rating, so it's basically worthless except for small cars. It's really advantageous for the maintenance department to be able to have that bridge functional for all their equipment access and inside, especially during snow events and that. The only other option is to go out around Lake Louise, which adds a lot of time for them. The other bridge is, so that bridge is just going to be a single lane, 14 feet wide, so it's a wide single lane. It'll be 2 steel bridges that show up, get bolted together, and they'll be 70 feet long. It'll be about 10 feet longer than the current bridge there. And that's specific just to assist with permitting and staying out of the creek bank. The other bridge that's going to be put in is proposed to actually be a concrete bridge. We have concrete planks that are put together with railings on it. And that's replacing an 8-foot diameter arch culvert over off of Polo Park Drive. That culvert is in, I guess there's November of 2021 during the big flood, had a road failure there where the culvert backed up, couldn't handle the capacity, and there's already been one repair done to that. And the bottom of that culvert is rusted out where it has lots of holes in it. And basically at that point, you start getting water flowing and the structural integrity of that arch culvert minimizes. Or diminishes, I guess, to where at some point you get enough and the culvert will just collapse on itself. Is that imminent? I mean, no one knows, probably. But you can't predict that. You can't predict when the next big rain event is either. So that's the suggestion for the bridge is proposed because that is easier from a permitting standpoint and to deal with the utilities that are there than trying to put in a fish passage culvert. The size of that would be about 20 feet wide. And it's a fairly shallow and complex operation with the utilities there. So the bridge is a much more economical option. And that's why that's proposed.
So they're taking the culvert out, right, completely, it's just gonna, the bridge will just, in natural streets.
Yeah, the stream channel will get more or less restored, if you will. It'll have the traditional riprap right in the bottom and get revegetated and look like a traditional bridge, if you will.
What's the warranty on the bridge? How long is it gonna run?
It's the warranty. Technically, the contract will warranty it 1 year. The bridges are designed for, I believe it's 100-year lifespans.
I don't have to worry about it.
You'll be gone.
Be someone else's problem by then.
So you said the Area Z bridge right now is limited to 2 or 3 tons?
3 tons.
3 tons, and so I tried to look up the strength or the Newton force of the new bridge. It looks like it's going to be more like 16 tons. Is that about right?
Both the bridges are designed for the H20 highway loading, which is traditionally bridge loading, so it can handle fire trucks or any traditional oversized vehicles.
Yeah, I thought it was 93 L or something like that. Is that?
H-93O, which exceeds, I believe, H-20 typically. I'd have to refresh on it, but it's not a minimal bridge, it's a full-on bridge.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, that,
nobody's driven over the current bridge, I suggest you do that and then make sure you see those.
maybe let the water go down a little bit before you go.
Might be the case right now.
Yeah, the water is really moving. Yeah, the Arizona Bridge, my wife said it really is, it hampers them not be able to drive the big trucks across there, especially during the last snow.
Yeah.
We had, so that was imperative, I think. But I, yeah, for the reasons that Linda said and all, I think getting both of them taken care of now while we can still get things made.
Yeah, or that they're sitting there with, yeah.
Yeah.
I have two questions. One's gonna be, and it's probably easier one, that one's gonna be you and I looking at each other. So I don't see anywhere, and I know that the county's gonna make us do this to figure in mitigation for these projects.
We shouldn't have the design, we shouldn't really have any.
You shouldn't have to do mitigation.
No,
I'm saying
no.
normally they either make us put up a pond if they don't want us to plant or anything.
The way that he's designing them, we're still working through permitting with Whatcom County to answer.
Okay, so
one
it's
question.
not complete yet.
It's not complete, no, we do not have permits yet. Fisheries has been a holdup on.
Yeah, because you gotta,
Just the submittal process with them and getting to meet with them has taken about 3 months longer than typical.
Okay,
So permits are a little bit behind on this one.
so my other question is, the fee for you for this. For construction management, just for the construction part of it, because we paid you separately for all this other work.
Mhm.
Is basically, if it's 45 days, you're basically gonna be there during the whole time they work on these bridges each day, because it says 5 hours per day.
That is just a guess at this point, kind of based on the historical averages of how these projects go. Some days we won't be there, other days we might be there full time. That proposal is just T&M, it's not a fixed estimate by any means.
Okay, because I was looking at, yeah, I looked at the one you did for the golf course bridge, and you only had part-time for 100 hours, which seemed real reasonable to me. And this just seemed really excessive, because I'm assuming whoever does construction is gonna have their own crew boss.
Yes, the
Yeah.
one wild card that we're still working through is the utility aspect of it as well. And it's that utility interaction that can sometimes add an awful lot of hours. We experienced that at Colbert 315. When that was done, a little ways down, we had a tremendous more hours dealing with power on that than we ever thought was possible.
Yeah, I saw it was a large amount, but I know that especially when Lake Whatcom has to do anything, they tend to give us a real ding.
Yeah.
You know, for hours and stuff, but okay, that explains things to me and answers my questions.
We'll only bill for what we use and we'll be there as minimal as we can, that's the intent.
Anyone else have trustee Hatter? Please.
I think this is several motions.
Yeah, there's, so the first motion, move that the board of directors approve the allocation of $1,088,464.22 from Rose for purchasing and installing 2 pre-engineered steel bridges.
Second,
One of them, a concrete bridge.
Correct.
And suggest we change the
Just
motion.
say, engineered
pre-engineered
Nice
bridges,
catch there, Stu.
good job.
Yeah, for purchasing and installing 2 pre-engineered
We have 3
bridges.
steel quotes and 1 concrete.
Okay,
What is the second?
what, did we get a second yet?
Me,
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Motion two, move the board of directors approve the general manager to execute a contract with Rabbit Span, further attached quote for $121,312 and RTI further attached quote for $134,368.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous.
Thanks for it. Tyler, thank you.
Thank you.
Another long day, yeah.
Okay, so back to continuing business. We have the Lake Whatcom Policy Group appointment update. And at one of our last meetings, we appointed Rick as our Lake Whatcom policy contact, but he had wanted to stay on as doing that. So just want to get approval for us to move to Keith back on there. And I guess Rick, you would be the alternate if Keith can't make a meeting. Anyone have any objections to that? We're all good. Can we get a vote on that? All in favor of moving Keith back to our contact for Lake Whatcom Policy Group? Okay, again, unanimous. Now, organizational chart update, Michael, that's gonna be yours.
Thank you, Madam. Page 21, again, Linda had asked for an updated organizational chart, and this has a number of full-time, part-time, contracted, non-union management exempt, and so this is the current state of affairs, of course, not including seasonal employees.
We'll have to squeeze it down so it all fits on one page. It's just nice to have something out there that the membership can actually see that we have an updated chart, and it looks like it got cut off a little bit.
Yeah, what's along this right hand margin? Oh,
Good night, you can see.
oh, okay. All right, so online, if you look at, is it online?
Well, I think I'm happy.
Oh, well, yeah, yeah, but I don't like the copy.
Yeah, well,
Okay, but it is online as well, Michael?
We will post it online now that
Okay.
you.
Yeah,
Alright,
it's
then.
just, it's nice to have that, you know, there was a lady here and rightfully so. We haven't seen an org chart that was fairly accurate for a long time. And we talked about it, and then there were hangups with getting the union to approve some of these different changes that we made. And it was just time for this to happen, so thank you very much for doing that.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
He's the one contract in 99, is that the Pacific Security?
The contracted is Joel Carr at this point, the architectural inspector. He's the 1099 guy. Yes.
Oh,
He's a home inspector.
ACC.
oh,
See that.
Oh, sorry, Stu.
Well, according to this org chart, Pacific Security is overseen by the architectural control inspector, is that true?
Well, actually overseen by me, but he's under compliance. So the whole department is under compliance.
Right, but unless architectural control inspector is overseeing security, they should be parallel, not above each other.
doesn't fit on.
It's not a traditional org chart, this basically says that the lifeguard staff who reports to the marina staff, who reports to the fitness staff, who reports to park and rec, assistant manager who reports to the recreation manager. So this is kind of just like a 30,000 foot,
Correct.
not an actual true organizational chart. So maybe we should put somewhere a footnote or something so that people don't think that's a chain of command versus, you know.
So anybody that reads org charts and looks at this saying, well, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Sure, I could have done a complete flow chart, but it would have been this slide.
Right.
So whatever the board directs, you let me know. I want to keep it simple to make it readable on the website.
Is this,
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry if I interrupt somebody. I noticed on the org chart that it shows that the finance director is hardline to the board and then to Michael. And maybe this is just kind of that conceptual chart that you guys were just mentioning. In my mind, I've seen it where someone is directly aligns to one manager and then dotted line over to somebody else who provides direction, but they don't get their direct they don't get their day-to-day management direction from two people, right? So should that be dotted line to the board and then hard line to you, Michael?
Sure, yeah. I took this was initially Joanne's iteration.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I brought it up to date. So sure, dotted line, however Joel feels, do you feel dotted to the board?
and I think what's kind of confusing is that it's really, looks like it's done correctly in the, under maintenance facilities, so maintenance facilities to maintenance foreperson, and then everybody else has is supervised by the maintenance foreperson. Same with turf care, and then as soon as you director of golf and over, it's all just a straight line. So we need to have some consistency.
Fix it a little bit.
So I'm assuming the help desk, member services, and administration specialists all report to the office manager.
Yes.
None of them report to each other. So we should probably, if we're gonna do that on the last two columns, we should probably do that on the first floor.
Again,
I know.
I can keep it and figure what I have to go with.
So maybe we could just switch that before we post it.
Of course.
So
Good job.
I wonder what the intention was. So you're saying this came from Joanne, correct?
The original did, yes, and there were, I updated it with the current,
The understaffed people, yeah. Because, yeah, there were some reassignments, I guess, in terms of the directors, the recreation manager, director of golf.
Yeah.
Turf care and maintenance, so there were some changes all along those lines. I'm just curious what the intent was of the magenta color or purple or whatever color that is. It appears to me that they're more, the intent was to have more direct relationship between the general manager and finance director and the board. So I'm wondering if the dotted line needs to be between the general manager and the finance director rather than the other way around.
well, ultimately, I'm responsible for all of the employees.
Yeah.
And I am responsible to the board for direction. But Joanne did put this together with a thought in mind. I don't know if color coding was Rick, but sure, I can, if somebody wants to help me slice and dice it. That's fine. I'm just trying to pass for it. So you come in with task in and I'll get it done.
The reason, if I recall correctly, which I may not, that the general manager and the finance director are the same color and they're different than everybody else, is because in the absence of the general manager, the finance director is in charge.
Oh, you mean I can take some days off?
That's the way it was explained to us.
Thank you.
I think that's right.
I do remember that too.
How do you feel about that, Joel?
I believe that's in your contract, Joel.
But that's why it's that way.
Okay, I can branch those out then under golf and under recreation and under compliance.
Yeah, we should have those, cause he does the compliance on that, I don't know either, because that's one of those union CBA things. Is he over the architect, does the compliance manager actually supervise the architectural control inspector?
Well, that is a newly created position, and
Yeah.
yes, that person would be.
over them, then all you need to do is a side by side with Pacific Security and the architectural control like Stu was talking about.
Yeah, or it could put
Same thing.
Pacific Security up, just reporting directly to me, but the way that Alan now in the compliance role. He's working not
Yeah.
only ACC, but compliance issues,
Yeah,
people's pets, parking, trash cans, you know.
he's having them go around and return report. Yeah.
So, but I will branch these out, I'll send out a copy to everybody and you can let me know, and I can lay it out, landscape and get more real estate, so. No problem.
Okay. But thank you for this, it's just, we really needed something that we can put off to the members.
Of course.
Thanks, Michael.
I think all we have left is zero turn more.
Yeah,
So, in the absence of our maintenance manager who's enjoying the, anniversary dinner with his wife, the zero turn mower here, there was a question from the finance committee concerning deliveries on the recommended mower, and I did send this out, Rick, that the crew, we'll go pick it up in Linden, so there's not gonna be delivery charge on it. But the ZTR mower, the one that was recommended, of course, is the 4.0. So that is the correction. Not the Kubota. He recommended would be Kubota CD 1211R. And it is the lowest cost, lowest price.
We like it.
Good machine.
and Rick, since you did go for the finance committee, should maybe.
Yeah, so the finance committee took a look at that. We have allocated in our cert $25,000 set aside, so seeing it come in under and mitigating delivery fee by having staff go pick it up. The finance committee recommended to the board that they approve this request.
Thanks, Rick.
I think wasn't there a question, Rick, about the warranty on this machine?
Yeah, so I followed up with Michael and he got back to me through Mike. I think there's a 4-year warranty.
Oh, excellent.
Excellent, excellent.
There's your warranty.
And one question I one question I had was in the background, it talked about they used to have access to a second mower. And I wondered what happened to the second mower.
I'm not sure. I have to ask.
I don't know if it was borrowing one or renting out or what, but we have it in our capital plan to replace or to purchase one, so. It's under bid, that's always good, or under, not under bid, under.
Oh, it was one of Greg's CTR mowers. It was one of Turf Care's mowers. He was borrowing.
Turf Care is hoarding it, is that?
Yeah, it says that they previously had access to one of Turf Care's.
So we still have it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay,
This is a little smaller.
so the motion, move that the SBCA board of directors approve the allocation of $21,146 from CRRF for the purchase of the Kubota ZD 1211R zero turn mower for the maintenance department and authorize the maintenance and facilities manager to coordinate with the finance director to complete the purchase.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? None, okay, all in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you.
Then we have an approval request for the wildfire prevention workshop expenses.
Yes,
If you wanna,
yeah, so for the workshop, the video that will be brought in to be shown as part of the program required a bigger screen for that side audience and some audio. And a microphone or two for the Q&A part. And then, so that's about, I talked to Kyle about that, he said it's $300-400 to rent that, equipment. And I also asked Kyle about if you could get that popcorn machine to work, just sort of popcorn and maybe buy some beverages, so, he said, oh, see if we can do that some. Directed that one, so the request is for up to $500 to cover costs for renting AV and purchasing a few snacks or beverages.
Okay, so I move that the board of directors authorizes the general manager to direct staff to rent AV equipment, including necessary microphones, and purchase snacks and beverages up to the total of $500 for the wildfire prevention workshop to be held May 12, 2025 from 6:30 to 8 p.m. in the dance hall.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Be paid on operations.
Okay,
Just
so, okay, so to be paid out of operations.
So would that be like the VDR or just office?
Okay. You have to,
Yeah.
I guess,
Just add it, we'll put the language in the very back of, what you said, and just like to be paid out of, to have to be paid out of operations.
sounds good. And then last but not least, we have some new committee appointments.
Yes, for finance committee, I'd like to recommend Jean Maxter. She's applied and she's been vetted. She served on the finance committee previously and has done a wonderful job, and we're anxious to get her back on board. I would like to request you for as a member of the finance committee.
All in favor of Jean and the finance committee?
NAIS. Is that right too?
Yeah, maybe I should abstain from voting.
You're one of the
Trying to be clear.
I should. So for those who don't know, Gina's my wife.
Oh, I kind of agree.
Okay, so we have Jean for the finance committee, long range planning, Ray, you have someone?
Yeah, we have April West, Gate 9. She's got a lot of experience on boards and nonprofit. Being very interested in long range for $7. She's older.
And she's been vetted.
She hasn't done it yet.
Okay,
And then April West.
okay, all in favor of April West for long range planning committee? That's unanimous. And then Rick, you have some for safety as well?
No, just finance.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Okay, well, in that case, we can adjourn this meeting of the board of directors at 9:04 p.m.
Good job.
No,